Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is David. This video today is for me the most important video I have ever created. You're going to be watching an interview with a young lady called Libby. She's 10 years old and I want to begin by putting this interview into context for you. I was blessed to cross paths with Libby when I met her mother back in May of this year to talk about the pros and cons of home education. This was something that her mum was considering as a possible option for Libby. Her mum and I ended up having a 3-hour conversation, and during this conversation Libby sat quietly and patiently beside me, listening intently to every word that was spoken. She made numerous insightful and on-subject contributions to the conversation. She shared personal anecdotes to back up her points. She was even grounded enough to suggest a potential way forward for her family, which took into account her mother's concerns and needs. And when she communicated with me, she made great eye contact. I felt like I was in the presence of a very, very wise soul. The most awe-inspiring moment for me was when Libby articulated her vision for a different type of school where, I quote, "children are free to be themselves," and outlined a process by which this dream might spread throughout the country. I want you to know that this extraordinary girl has been diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. She has been diagnosed with autistic spectrum disorder. She has been diagnosed with generalised anxiety. Libby's mother has been put under quite a lot of pressure to have her daughter prescribed pharmaceutical drugs to fix her disordered brain. I also want you to know that Libby regularly comes home from school distraught due to bullying and to feeling like she is misunderstood and unsupported by her teachers. This video is the first time that this young girl's voice is actually going to be heard, and I believe it is a voice that the world needs to hear. To say that I feel emotional about this interview would be the understatement of the century. As you listen to this young girl speak, bear in mind the labels that have been put on her by the so-called experts of the system in which she is struggling to cope.
Hello, I'm Libby and I'm 10 years old and I enjoy cooking and sport.
So Libby, tell me a bit about your imaginary school.
In my imaginary school I have 3 big rooms. I will have a science room, an anxiety room and I'll have an indoor playroom. In the science room there will be all the fun things and things you need to learn, like science. Example, Bunsen burners, lighting things, and just fun things that you need to learn science with. In the playroom there'll be like colouring and bits like that, so you do all of your indoor things that you like. So card games and board games and bits like that.
What's the anxiety room? What's that for?
It's for when you have a worry or something. You can go in there and you can ask other peoples that might understand you or have an experience of it, who can like help you and you can trust of your choice.
Great. And Libby, are these the only 3 rooms in your imaginary school?
Yes, but they are going to be quite big. There's like sofas, pillows, bean bags and beds and bits, and you can move them around when you want to, just so things that can work and so you feel more at home.
Great. And what about outside? Is there any outdoor spaces in your imaginary school?
Yes, in the imaginary school there's a big field where you can do loads of sport and all the bits you need for the sport. And there'll be a playground for like everybody, and there'll be like some playgrounds for certain ages. So if they say 7-year-olds and things like that, but so you don't feel a bit anxious near older people. There'll be like skipping and obviously all like the sport bats and balls and things. So there'll be, and if there isn't anything you would want, you can always like write on this list what you want, and we'll save up somehow to get it.
What ages would your school be for? What age of children?
It would be from about 6 to 15.
Okay.
6 because they can look after themselves a bit more and look after themselves.
Sure.
And 15, so they're like not into alcohol yet, and like they're not rude, so they can like be a part of the school, so they're not affecting any of the younger ones.
Do your students sit in classes? Is there a timetable? How does the day actually work?
There's no timetable. You can do whatever you want, what you like. So like, say if I picked art, I could do art all day, or I could just do art and some food tech and bits like that.
Okay.
So I could do art inside, then I could go outside. I could do cooking inside, then I could try and make a fire outside. I can do things like that. So yeah, so you can stop when you want to and start when you want to.
So are you saying that you get to choose what you do pretty much all day, every day?
Yes, as long as it's to do with like learning. So like
Okay.
fun and learning if you want.
Do you have to work with other people of the same age? Because you said that there were students from 6 to 15, so how does that work?
No, you can. So you could have a 15-year-old working with a 6-year-old. It doesn't really matter, really. So you can be teamed up with all sixes, age 6s, or just random ages. Doesn't matter what age.
Tell me about the teachers in your imaginary school.
There's only one adult teacher.
Oh, just one. Okay. Tell me about this person.
Well, she's like a mum figure. She or he could be like someone who can really trust.
Sure.
Someone who can understand you, and also the rest of the teachers, well, kind of teachers, are pupils. So it could be 6-year-olds teaching, say, 13-year-olds or 15-year-olds. So if they had any ideas, they can chance, but you can like change who they are, who the pupil teachers are.
The children are actually teachers as well as learning.
Yes. Say if I wanted to be, I would eventually have a turn. Not maybe straight away, but I will have a turn eventually.
And what do you think that would do for you, having that opportunity?
You would get more confident, you can share your ideas and make more friends actually. Trying to tell them your ideas, they might like your ideas. So yeah.
How many students come to this school in total?
In the whole school there'll be like about 40.
Okay.
But like you can choose if you want to come like 2 or 3 days a week.
So what do you do on the days when you don't go to this school?
You're at home, so you can go on like sing stuff, like colouring. I can do going up to the swing in a nearby park. I like to climb trees. I can do things like that.
When you're in school, how do you decide what you're going to work on? Do you work by yourself or do you work in groups? I want to try and understand exactly how this works.
You can choose really. So if it's like an activity, say if I wanted to make a paper chain, I could do it on my own. Or if I wanted a pair, and if nobody else wanted to do it in my 20, and if I could swap with the other 20, so if someone else is from that group wanted to do something else, they would swap with me, so we would swap.
So it sounds quite flexible then, so you can choose which day and which group that you work with. You're not stuck with coming into school on a particular day.
No.
You got the freedom to choose. Okay, tell me about what you would teach if you were to take on this teaching responsibility.
I would teach PE,
Okay.
sport, and I would teach maths.
How would you go about actually teaching these subjects?
With PE, I would say if the base thing was netball, I would give them a netball and I would tell them to go and think what netball is. So I would let them do whatever they want with netball. And then they would come back and show me. And if someone really wanted to, So say if they wanted to be a football player when when they were older, I could tell them the real rules so they can learn properly if they wanted to.
So what you're saying is you wouldn't straight away be teaching them how to play a particular game. You would just give them the ball and they would get a chance to play and, well, be creative about it first. And then when they came back to you, you might give them some more structure or give them some rules. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Why is that important?
I think it's important so they don't feel a bit under pressure because they have to do something certainly. So they can not be told, oh, that's wrong, I can do better than you, and things like that, and not
I
be
see.
judged.
Okay, so no judgment in this school?
No, I don't like that, no. I think everyone should be treated the same.
And tell me about your approach to teaching maths. How would you do that?
So instead of just putting them on the spot and giving them a book and say doing this,
Yeah.
I would say do times tables. Say I'll throw them balls so it can be a bit more fun and encouraging. I would go outside. I could say I would let them do what they want to do with maths. So I would let them. Some people might like climbing trees, so they could climb a tree and measure it. They could run around and say how long they ran, or whatever they like to do. Just make it to do with maths in somehow.
One final question for you, Libby. If you were to sum up your school in 3 words, what would those words be?
Enjoyment, freedom, and happiness.
Amazing kid, huh? Children like Libby, and there are hundreds of thousands of them in school classrooms up and down this country, deserve a voice. It is time for us to listen. Libby does not have an attention problem. She doesn't have any problems. The only condition she is suffering from is unrecognised genius. I could weep for a week at the thought of such a wise, sensitive and beautiful soul being drugged into submission and conformity to a system that refuses to accept her as an individual. Far from labelling and silencing these children, we should be celebrating their differences. They are gifts to humanity. These cruel labels that we apply to children are the symptom of a sick society. They are the product of a society's dis-ease with the evolution of the human species. They are the result of adults viewing children through the eyes of fear and judgment rather than unconditional love. Children like Libby are the thinkers, the visionaries, the pioneers, the creators, the innovators, the inventors, the entrepreneurs, the artists, the poets, the geniuses of the future. I've made Libby a promise. I've committed to working with her to bring her dream into reality, not just for her, but for all the children who desperately want something different to the current prevailing school education system. Thank you so much for watching. If you were in any way touched by this video and you believe that Libby's voice deserves to be heard, then please support us by sharing this video, by liking and by commenting below. Thank you from both of us.